Hey there, drone fans. Rick here again with a quick review of the DJI Avata drone. This is the very latest FPV drone from DJI, and they basically took all the lessons they learned on their original DJI FPV drone and put those inside the Avata. They also made it smaller and much more nimble in the air, and they've introduced this ducted fan system on the bottom, which makes it look an awful lot like a Cinewhoop. Now this drone is incredibly quick, it's a lot of fun to fly, and it can give you the perfect FPV experience. So if you've never flown an FPV drone, this could very well be the kit for you. Now what I'd like to do in this video is give you 5 good reasons why I think you're going to fall in love with the DJI Avata. But first let me talk about the drone a little bit. So the drone will fly for 18 minutes on a fully charged battery. It has a 1/1.7 inch sensor on the front, which can record 4K video at 60 frames a second. It's a single axis gimbal, which means you can look up and down, but it's got electronic image stabilization with horizon steady built in. So the drone will always keep the horizon perfectly level, and it does a really good job of electronically stabilizing that image. Now what I have in front of me here is the kit, and it's basically the drone, the DJI goggles 2, and the motion controller. And that's all you'll need to get up in the air along with your phone to have a lot of fun flying FPV. So let me give you 5 reasons why I think this may be the perfect FPV combination. For starters, there's a lot of DJI technology built into this drone. Now DJI is a giant company. They make a wide range of different drones, and they have a ton of experience building a drone that flies well, that's stable in the air, that can actually keep the drone in the air and not have it flying all over the place on you. So you've got rock solid connection between you and the controller and the goggles based on their technology. The second reason I like it an awful lot is they somehow were able to build in a gigantic battery in the back of the drone, which means you're going to get 18 minutes of flight time out of it. Most FPV drones get maybe 5 minutes, if you're lucky, 6 minutes. That's not a lot of time to get up in the air, because by the time you get up in the air and start flying, you're a third of the way through the battery. So having 18 minutes of flight time as a maximum means I can have a lot of fun with this before I have to land it and change out the battery. Another reason I like it a lot is because of the DJI goggles 2. These goggles are incredibly small. You almost forget you're wearing them because they're so small and so lightweight, but they give you a crystal clear picture of the imaging coming back from the drone. And the latency between the two, which is the time it takes for the image to get back to you, is incredibly short. And that's super important when you're flying an FPV drone because you're dodging objects out there in the field. There's a tree coming up, you want to get around it, you're flying over something or under something, you need that kind of intimacy with the image on the front. I love the motion controller. This motion controller is a brilliant design. It's based on gyroscopic control. You'll notice there is no joystick on there, so you can basically hold this. If you tilt it or twist it, the drone will mimic your image. It'll mimic exactly what you're doing with the controller. So it's a very intuitive way to fly, and it makes it really easy for you to get good at flying an FPV drone. Another big difference between this and a lot of other drones is the time that DJI's put into the software to train you how to fly this drone. There's a simulator you can get that'll actually train you using the motion controller and the goggles or motion controller and your computer on how you can fly the drone. And it's important you use that simulator because honestly, FPV flying seems like a lot of fun when you first get out there, and it certainly is. But there's a learning curve to it, and you don't want to crash the drone as many times as it'll take to get good at flying it. So get in the simulator, use the motion controller, and have a whole lot of fun learning how to fly an FPV drone. One last thing I'll mention, and this is sort of point number 6, I think, at this point, is that this unit has the ability to put a little dot in the center of the screen. And that may seem like a small thing, but it's a brilliant move on DJI's part because it gives you a center point to know exactly where the drone's going to fly. So if you're in a really tight environment, you've got to fly between 2 trees or under something, you know that if the dot clears that gap, the drone's going to clear that gap, and I love that. And one last thing I'll mention is the integrated system that DJI's put together here. The connection between the controller, the drone, and the goggles is rock solid. I've been flying this for a couple of months now, and I'm telling you, you'll never lose connection between the drone and your controllers, which a lot of other FPV products have a problem with, because if you fly too far away, that connection gets broken. The drone will either land or crash or just take off and head for the horizon. So I think DJI's done a phenomenal job with this drone in building a complete kit you can get started with. And again, if you already own the goggles, you can start with the drone. If you're already in the controller, you can start with the drone. You can actually use a full-size controller as well, right here, if you want to have more control. This is a great way to get started. This one gives you complete control, just like you're flying any standard FPV. But always start with the motion controller. Actually, start with the simulator, then move to the motion controller, and then finally move to this controller when you really want to have total control. But overall, I've flown a lot of FPV products, and if you're looking for a ready-to-fly FPV drone, the Avata could be the perfect solution for you. So I hope you found this quick review helpful. I've enjoyed talking about it. I think it's a wonderful product. I think you're going to like it a lot. So thanks again for watching, and until next time, as always, stay nerdy.